What is up, Rad Potential YouTube? Welcome to today's video. We're going to transform the front of the RX8 because we're going to polish these nasty yellow headlights finally. So I bought some cheesy headlight polisher kit on the internet. It was $17. We're going to see how much damage we can cause to these things. Came with this nice little like trash bag masking tape sort of deal. 800 grit, 1200 grit, 2000 grit. Buffer wheel with the polish that they provide. We'll see how clear they get, and then we're gonna tint these yellow because it's a GT car. We can be like Lamar and have yellow headlights on our GT car because it would look tacky to do yellow headlights on my Corvette. So we're gonna do yellow headlights on this. I did put yellow fog lights on my Corvette though, and it is sick. So in the last video, we got the gauges, we got the cold air intake. I say we got the gauges. I still haven't fixed the coolant temp sensor, so I got to get another sensor ordered. We got the ductwork done. After the headlights are polished, the bumper will go on. And in this video as well, I didn't really put it in the last video, but I did remove some more weight from the car since we've weighed it last. So I pulled the inner structure, just all the stuff off the rear door, the rear like B-pillar kind of deal. We pulled all that plastic out. And then also, we're going to be taking this driver's seat out, and we're going to go get the Sparco seat that I have in the silver car, which has just been sitting. We're going to grab that seat, those adjustable rails, and we're going to see if we can get that Sparco seat to sit low enough for a 6'4" dude in an RX8. And we're going to go put a track alignment on this car, which I'm stoked to do. My neighbor Tim across the street, big Volkswagen Bug guy, used to have a bunch of VW stuff back in the day. Drag car guy. He owns a shop in Tennessee, in Franklin, Tennessee. So just right up the road. So we're going to rip up there, meet him tomorrow when he gets off work, and we're going to align this deal. So I'm excited for that as well. So let's jump right into getting these headlights polished, getting this front end looking like $1,000,000, and then we'll get to go for a test drive before the alignment because we have to drive the car there. So we'll get to see if the intake made any noticeable power gains. I doubt it. And we'll see if our cooling system just runs cooler. And yeah, I'm pretty excited. I'm excited for these headlights to not look like crap. I got some really good pictures from the Tail of the Dragon trip, and all I can see in the front of the picture is my terrible headlights. So let's see if we can make these better. Ideally, that yellow film that I put on here will help keep them from yellowing again, because the film will keep the plastic from oxidizing, which is ultimately what's going on here. So let's get her done. Good morning. Welcome to Let's Take the Car to Work. So we've got, hopefully, the issue where it shuts off whenever I put the car in reverse fixed, because, well, we need to back up out of the garage. So I don't need to start it to simulate this. If I just put it in reverse right now, it should kill all the stuff. Look at that. Good to go. Sweet. Ready to drive RX8. Alright. Well, I don't have to fix my RX8 this morning or carry a bunch of fuses with me because it went into reverse. Ready to take that thing to work. Stop by Tim's shop on the way home. I'm gonna take the dog for a walk, and then let's go for a rip because I drive back roads to get to work. So always fun to have a spicy unit of a car. It looks like we're clear on all of our ducting. Not gonna hit anything. All it's gonna do is catch a ton of rocks now with these tires. So here you can see. Looking good, sounding good, doing its thing. So probably should have washed it after this gap, but Anyway, let's go to work. Alright guys, we are ripping down some back roads, trying to get some speed in before the rain. I've got the alignment done. We'll talk about the specs when we get back to the house here in a second, but noticeably better as far as steering wheel feedback. I wasn't able to get as much camber as I wanted. We're only like 2.2 degrees or something like that. And it's mainly limited because of the driver's side. So I think when this car got crashed, it shifted something, because I can get more than 2.2 degrees of camber on the passenger side, but not the driver's side. So anyways, and that's even pulling caster out to down to like 4 degrees of caster. We couldn't get it any higher, so we're sticking with that. The rear dialed 2 degrees all the way, 1/16 of an inch toe in, front 1/16 of an inch toe out. I guess we're going over that now. But anyways, we're gonna rip some back roads. Hopefully not run into too much rain, because these tires, Falcon RT 660s, they've got some wear on them. Aren't exactly the best in the rain, so enjoy ripping in the slow RX8. Something's rattling in the back and I don't like it. Race car life. Oh, it's getting wet right as the roads are getting fun. Come on. Alright guys, we're back in the shop. With the car. So let's talk through the alignment stuff and this and how and why, a little bit more detail. And then we're going to put some yellow tint film on the headlights, because GT car, it's got to be yellow. I'm into it. I can't rice out my Corvette. We're going to rice out the RX8. And then we're going to get my bucket seat put in. But first, alignment stuff. Okay. So, my neighbor Tim, super good dude. He owns a shop in Franklin, Tennessee. Franklin Automotive, right there in downtown. Good dude, just does his thing. He helped me out, stopped by after work today, threw it on his alignment rack, and discovered the alignment specs here. So I'll show you what's This is what was in the car when we put it on the rack. Now, we wanted to maximize the amount of camber that I could get out of this car. Digging through all the old forums. Guys, this is something that I hope you guys do it too. If not, I'm doing it for you. A lot of the information I get from back in the day, RX8 Club, RX7 Club forums, Grassroots Motorsports forums from 2010, you know. Anyways, so I go back and I find this Motor Trend article, Project RX8, da-da-da-da-da, they've got a car. They took their RX8, it had BC Racing coilovers on it, stock arms, and they were able to get 2.5 degrees of negative camber in the front, 2 degrees of negative camber in the rear, and in the front they were able to keep the caster around 4.5 degrees. We took this car, we started on the driver's side, which actually worked out really well. We maxed out the camber, full bottomed out the eccentric bolt to lower or to move the lower control arm out. Okay, so you're controlling camber from the bottom of the suspension. So we want to lengthen the lower control arm to tip the top of the wheel in. This isn't a McPherson strut style like a first gen where you have the top hat and you slide the top hat of the shock in and out to tip the wheel. This is dual wishbone. So we maxed the camber out. We were able to get like 2.2 degrees of camber. Then we went to the caster adjust, which was at like 6 degrees of caster, which Mazda's factory spec on this car specs 6 degrees of caster. That's why these cars drive so good and everyone loves the way they drive, is because they self-steer really well. They have a lot of good feedback in the wheel. Most cars don't come with that much caster. So anyways, we took that caster number and we brought the caster down to 4.5, and that only gave us 1/10 of a degree of camber. It really didn't help us out that much at all in the wake of camber. Typically it's a sacrifice. You have camber and caster, they kind of work together to create your front end alignment. Okay, so at 4.5 degrees of camber or caster, we only had 2.3 degrees of camber. Wasn't worth it. We put it back to 6 degrees. It's going to give you a lot better feel to have that much caster in it, and 1/10 of a degree of camber sacrifice for that much, not worth it. So we held that on this side. Then we come over to the passenger side. Now, keep in mind, my car's been hit. It's been abused. I wouldn't doubt if the subframe's moved around a little bit. You never know. We go over here, max the camber out on this side, and we could get 2.5 degrees. But because we were limited on the driver's side, you don't want to have 2.5 on one side and 2 on the other. That's just not the deal. We set this side to 2.2. Caster was already at 6, so we left it. So now we got 2.2, 2.2, 6. I'll show you the finished sheet here in a second. Set the toe to a 1/16 toe out. Now, it made a big difference. That toe out, I can feel it. Turn in's a lot better. Even driving it in the rain feels really good. So that's the front end. I wish I could get more camber out of it, but here's the deal. With only having lowering springs, not lowering the car anymore, you know, these dual wishbone cars, if you camber or if you push the suspension down, it cambers in a good amount. So we're already maxed. We could probably get more static camber if we lowered the car, but it is what it is. When the car's loaded up in the corner, it's going to put the extra camber in there. So with the lowering springs, we can't lower it. We can't get that much camber out of the front. It is what it is. If you have a better way to do it, if there's an adjustable lower control arm, let me know. I'd be interested in looking at it. For the rear, excuse the car, it's all dirty. The rear was pretty easy. The rear of this car, albeit important for grip, is not super crazy, and the Motor Trend guys were able to run 2 degrees of camber in the rear, which is what I set mine at, and then we ran a 1/16 of an inch toe in the back. So toe in the rear is going to increase that grip. It's going to keep the car pointed. Much better high-speed stability with toe in. If you have toe in the front, it's going to feel way more stable at speed. A little bit of toe out, it's going to kind of want to jump around on you a little bit. So that's my alignment spec. I'll put the sheet up, or if I didn't already put the sheet in. You know, it's better than it was. Before it was like 1.7 degrees of camber and whatever. You saw the numbers. I don't remember it. But it was kind of all over the place. Now we're balanced. We're dialed. We should get even tire wear now. I have just been noticing I'm wearing the outsides of my tires a little bit more than I am the insides. I think that's probably pretty typical, considering when you plant a car in the corner and it rolls the tire over, you're going to wear the outside. I don't have enough camber to really just like plant it evenly, so it is what it is. Or I didn't have enough camber. So that's the alignment spec. I also noticed on my drive home that laying this big tube of wiring right across my defroster vent that my defrost didn't want to work. In addition, on a hot summer day, not having AC to help defrost sucks. So I looked it up on Rock Auto while I was eating dinner. $80 for a new condenser so I can replace the one that I accidentally put my Sawzall blade through. So I'm in for that. But anyways, we got a couple more things to knock out in this video. We got to get the headlights tinted, which 100% optional, but we're going to do it before we put the seat in because rewards. You got to do things to have magnificent change to excite you to do things like put a seat in, which is going to be not that fun. And then we'll get that seat put in, and I'll be amped to see how it fits, if it fits. I'm thinking, just based on what Justin was saying about how he got the RX8 seat to fit in his M3, is that I think I can just pull the actual seat off of these rails and then mount my Sparco seat to these rails. If I can't, I will weld brackets onto these rails so I can mount the Sparco seat to those rails. I think that's the move. And ultimately, if I can't get the seat in it before the track day, well, apologize to my window switches in advance because I already broke them. So, bracing my knee into the door. So let's get to work. Transformation, commence. Look at those yellow tinted headlights. Alright, honestly, pretty stoked with how they look. Way better than hazy. Like, they're hazy yellow, or it's hazy clear. And I think hazy yellow has like a certain race car ambiance of getting beat up and rock chipped and all sorts of stuff, versus hazy clear means how I didn't take care of my car and my headlights look like crap. So, yellow headlights are on. Now, I got a mess of seats, okay? And let me tell you, this is on me for doing this, and it hurts my soul to see the back of this seat is perfectly sexy and red, and the front of this seat looks like it sat out in the sun for 2 years, because it has. So, this Sparco Sprint is in really good shape. These are the same seats I put in the rally car. I love them. Great budget FIA spec seat. Now, let's talk seat rails, and then we're going to talk why I didn't put this in the car tonight to finish this video off, because there's a fundamental problem with kind of how this is working. So, this is how I did it for my first gen. I took the stock first gen rails. They just unbolt from the seats. I bolted them to the Sparco rails. I think I had to slot the holes and drill them a little bit to get the seat to fit exactly where I wanted it. But we bolted the sliders to the rails. These sliders fit in the first gen. Bolted our side mount seat with the Sparco brackets to this. Now, keep that in mind. Let's come over here. I had intended on doing something similar, i.e. taking these rails off of the RX8 seat in some fashion, affixing some sort of a bracket to the top of them, and then mounting these side mount brackets and putting this back in the car. Now, there's two main issues with this. One, I'm really tall. Two, the side mount bracket's going to raise that seat a good bit, even though I have it in the lower position. So my seating position is actually going to be higher than the stock seat, and I don't like that. The second thing is, I was planning on just running these with a stock seat belt, which is this, and I would need a place to mount the seat belt. Now, I could probably just mount it to the Sparco side mount rails or weld a bracket or whatever, but in essence of safety, I think I'm just going to keep the stock seat for now. However, the reason we're not putting them in is because I've discovered RX8s are like new cars. You can buy stuff for these cars. Somebody makes a side mount seat bracket with sliders that bolts right in, and I don't have to do any fabrication work. So I'm just going to buy that, and we'll put the Sparco, the discolored Sparco. We're going to save money on a seat, spend money on a seat rail in order to get one of these in here. I think it's like Buddy Club Racing makes a low profile side mount slider setup for an RX8 that bolts right in. Now, if it's like any other aftermarket part, it might not bolt right in, but it should be way closer than me fabricating something. So I'm going to go ahead and get one of those ordered, and it's not going to be here before the track day, which means we're going to be shredding the stock seat for the track day. But fear none, we will have a seat in this. Now, something else to talk about as well with regard to seats, and I want to get your comments on this. The people that race cars and we'll just say like have been around it more than me because I'm still young. I'm going to run, or intend to run, right, a fixed back bucket seat in a car without a roll bar. Now, in my head, it makes sense that you should have a roll bar with a fixed back bucket seat, because the factory seat is designed so when you crash and the roof of this car gets smashed into your face, the seat back will recline in order to alleviate your head getting smashed by the roof, right? A fixed back seat, when the roof gets smashed, isn't going to budge. It's going to stay there, thus your head getting smashed down, which is why you want a roll bar. Second thing, harnesses with a bucket seat. Now, I ran this in my first gen. I had a roll bar in the first gen. I ran this in the first gen with a normal seat belt, and it was kind of a little bit tricky to get it put on, and it didn't really like hold your waist into the seat very well, like a side set of harnesses would that comes through the side hole on your seat. So comment below if you think, instead of trying to, which I still have to order that bracket to mount the seat, but if you think instead of trying to run a seat with a stock seat belt, if I should really just get a roll bar, get harnesses, and then put the seat in. On an RX8, I think it's like pretty much impossible to run a harness bar, or at least a harness bar that I would think is safe, because really you want the harness bar to sit at the same, there's like, if you ever installed race seats in a race car before, there's a limit of your belts and like the angle that your belts can sit behind your head and how far away they can be for safety and all that stuff. I don't think a harness bar, you'd have to have one that like hooks really far forward and support it from the floor, and I'm just not into that, especially if I don't have a roll bar. So I think for now we're gonna keep the stock seat, and that's a long-winded answer. We're keeping the stock seat, and we're gonna go from there. So with that, guys, thank you guys very much for watching. I'm really excited to take this thing to the track this weekend. I think it's gonna shred. I think the alignment is going to make a bigger difference than I think, albeit not a huge difference on the actual, like, what do I say, the gauges, the machine, the whatever. It's not a huge difference, but I think it's going to actually make the car drive a lot better. I'm pretty impressed with these tires. I have been running them at a pretty aggressively low tire pressure, so like 30 PSI, I guess I'm like 28 PSI cold. And this is a big, heavy car, and I don't really know. Like, comment below what your tire wear is on a track car, right? So I've probably got, I think it's got 4 track days. Is it 4 or 3? I feel like it's 4. Maybe it's 3. 4 full track days on this car, about 2,000 street miles plus those street miles out to the tail of the Dragon, where the tail of the Dragon is effectively another track day. I mean, with how I was driving it, and how fast we were going, and how much we were pushing, we were wearing tires pretty good getting out there. So we'll say 2,000 street miles, 4 track days on a set of RT660s, largely the same pressure. I don't know if that's good. I don't know if we're wearing tires excessively fast. I really have no idea. The brake pads look fantastic. Hawk HP Pluses in the front, HP Streets in the back. And that is something we're going to be changing, not between this, or probably between this track day and the next one, which is unfortunate, but the next real, like, NCM track day is going to be in August, which is, like, a ways away. So we'll have to find some other ways to measure the performance of the RX8 for the next couple months. But with that, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. Comment below anything else you want to see. The next video, we're going to tear this engine apart that's over here, and I am super stoked for that. So tonight I got to get the shop ready for engine rebuild time, and get all my stuff laid out, and just do the thing. So thank you guys very much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. Keep it rad. Letty, come here. Come here. Come here. Do you think 2.2 degrees of camber is enough? Jump if yes. Need more camber. Peace, guys.